Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. U's Reviews. Once again, over the past few weeks, I've seen a good number of films that I've wanted to talk about, so I thought the best idea is to put all my little reviews of these films into one video. So, here we go. The first film I would like to talk about is Don't Look Up, which follows two astronomers who are trying to warn mankind about a comet that's going to destroy planet Earth. And the biggest thing about this film is its cast. It's full of, A-list actors, especially, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Timothy Chalamet, Jonah Hill, Meryl Streep, Tyler Perry. And that's just naming a few out of this huge cast. And every actor, plays their role quite well. But the two standouts really were Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, as they're trying to convince people to really, focus on this big problem and take action. And I just thought they both really stood out. The other big thing about this film is it kind of has a message behind it that it's trying to bring forth through satire. A message kind of about, focusing on the world and trying to really fix certain problems before it's too late. So, it has a good message to the film, and most of the time the satire really works through the comedy, and the film also knows when to stay serious during, big important scenes. But my biggest gripe is, there were still other times where the satire and the comedy were kind of misplaced. There were still certain scenes that would have worked better if it just kind of ended before a joke was placed in. Even the way that the film kind of leaves you on, it had a certain tone that it was kind of gonna leave the audience on, an important tone that I think really would have worked. But then they kind of add these two post-credit scenes that kind of switch the tone up, and I thought those were misplaced, and it kind of occurs throughout the film as well. But for the most part, the satire really worked to bring the message of the film forth. So overall, I give Don't Look Up a B. Now the next film I'd like to talk about is The Power of the Dog, which follows a rancher named Phil Burbank, and when his brother brings home a wife who has a son, Burbank starts to torment them. And it's a very compelling film in that you're trying to kind of figure out why would he be so negative, and why would he really be tormenting these new members of the family. Although the whole cast finds ways to shine through Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst, and Cody Smith-McPhee, it is Benedict Cumberbatch as Phil Burbank, as the main character, who truly stands out, who really shines in this role. It's one of the best performances I've seen from him. And what really adds on to his performance, and really all the performances, is Jane Campion's screenplay and directing. Because, although there were certain things with the story that kind of felt old after a while, that's kind of a small gripe. Long after the film ends, the story and the screenplay kind of grow on you, because the film kind of implies certain things about certain characters. It gives you hints about, why certain characters act these ways, about their actions and everything. So it's a film that you can kind of think about long after the runtime is over, which I really enjoyed. It's a film that really grew on me after I finished it. So I thought, with the screenplay and the acting and even the cinematography that kind of brings you into the time period that the film takes place in, I thought it was a strong film overall. So I give The Power of the Dog an A-. Now the next film I'd like to talk about is Belfast, which follows a young boy and his family in Belfast, of course, during the late 60s. And it just shows their experiences, going on at the time, as there was a major conflict happening in Northern Ireland, where Belfast is located. And by far every member in this family really stood out. I thought Buddy's parents, Buddy is the young boy in the film, his parents, played by Jamie Dornan and Katrina Balfe, they both really stood out. And Buddy's grandparents, played by Kieran Hines and Judi Dench, both of them really shined in their own ways too. But really the actor who really stood out, who really shined here, was Jude Hill, who plays Buddy, who plays this young boy. Because with child actors, with young actors, it can be hit or miss, but this really was a hit because Hill really understood kind of what his character was going through at a young age, and he knew when to be more relatable, and then he knew when to be kind of more emotional, and he just really understood his character, and he was also just very cute to follow throughout the film. And another thing I really thought was strong here was just seeing, how much kind of danger this conflict was causing for this family, and why certain characters needed to kind of sacrifice certain time and certain other things throughout the film, so that the family would be much safer and kind of safer in a safer place, not just location-wise, but even finance-wise and all these other things. And it's a film that it's really interesting as it kind of follows all those little things. I think the biggest thing that could have been improved though is, although you really see the danger that this conflict is causing, I wish the film could have explained, the certain sides to the conflict more and why it was really occurring. Because it didn't really, dig deep too much into that, and I wish it kind of did, because it's such a major part of the plot. But other than that, it was interesting seeing this family and what they were going through during this time. The film was lighthearted at times, and it was more, more on the emotional side on other times. So it was a good mixture of everything. So I give Belfast a B+. Now the last film I'd like to talk about is Licorice Pizza, which follows a young actor who falls for this girl, and it kind of follows that theme of first love and everything going on in the San Fernando Valley in the early 70s. And by far, our two main actors here, Cooper Hoffman, who is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Elena Haim. They both stood out because these are the two characters, the two actors that you really follow throughout the film, and you follow their interactions and just everything going on in that setting. And you get these other performances by actors, not necessarily cameos. It's they're a little longer than cameos, but still kind of a little bit of scenes from these different actors, such as Sean Penn, who shows up, which it was great seeing him again, and Bradley Cooper, who was the actor that really shined in this film. His scenes were hilarious, and the way that he interacted with our main characters was really interesting and funny to watch. And all the dialogue in the film, written by Paul Thomas Anderson, was strong once again, because Anderson is known for his dialogue and his writing and directing, and it's just a fun, enjoyable film following these main characters. If I'm being honest, there were only a couple of scenes that really stuck with me leaving the theater, and I just wish maybe more scenes kind of stayed with me. But maybe a rewatch, a revisit could really help that, as you're seeing the journey of these characters once again. But overall, it was enjoyable and fun to watch. So I give Licorice Pizza a B. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, don't forget your popcorn. Until next time, from Mr. U to you, stay tuned.